Rosalyn Masterson is back with us today. Thank you, Rara, for being here with us.
Thank you.
Today we will be discussing Chapter 5, Coco, in your book, The Storm is Over. So, Rosalyn, you brought Coco into this world on September 10th, 1978. Tell us a little bit about Coco before we start.
Well, Coco was a bundle of joy. He was my first live birth, and everybody loved Coco. Everybody loved Coco. Chocolate brown with big brown eyes, and he had deep dimples. Oh wow, so adorable. And then he was chunky. But what baby isn't after you feed him all that unhealthy stuff? So it's good.
So, Coco was your first live birth and your passage to adulthood. You wanted life to be different for Coco, different from the life you had while growing up. Did this premonition come true for you and Coco?
Well, no, it did not. It was part of what I wanted, but no, it did not happen due to the just the environment and just the mindset, I believe. So no, because everything I wanted for my son, it did not happen. It did not come to pass.
What did you want for your son?
I wanted us to be together. I wanted him to be in a wholesome, healthy home. I wanted him to just be able to be free, not around drugs and alcohol, and just the lifestyle and just the environment period, which was very toxic.
So you say your mother, Sweets, who we've talked about in a previous chapter, took care of Coco and became his motherly figure or primary caregiver for a while before you had to move back into your nanny's home on Race Street. Why do you think your mother did this for you and your baby?
Well, one of the reasons, the primary reason was I believe that she done it out of guilt, but also I believe that it was a way of her not having to be on Race Street. So her living with me and Coco, that was a way, but I do believe it was just it was my freedom, she was always there. I could do what I did, which was I partied a lot, but Sweet was there because I didn't have to worry about no harm or nothing happening to my son. So, yes. So it was the three of us at the beginning.
So you trusted Sweets with your son?
Oh, she loved that boy. Did I trust her? Yes. She named him Stinker Binker. That was her first grandson. She loved that boy. She smothered that boy. He was just like her little boy. I guess also it was her. I'm not going to say her excuse, but I think also this was mom's way of just slowing down the lifestyle that she was trying to just be out of, and I believe this is what was going on. And Marcus just was there. Marcus took up that time. Coco took up that time. So
did it ever cause you any type of jealousy, confusion with the way she treated you versus the way she treated your son?
The only time that I would really get out of the way or go out of the way is when I'd be on a bender, and I would always tell her, how you gonna raise my son when you didn't raise me? And so, I guess it was just that guilt trip, or, making her to feel bad, and how can you give him all this attention when you just pretty much ignored me? So yes, so you darn right. It was a lot. It got volatile at times, but only under the influence. Because if I let the truth be known, I needed her just like she needed me, and I believe I used her like she used me. She needed shelter, and I just needed a babysitter. Free reign to drink and do what I was doing.
Speaking of being under the influence with your son on alcohol, and you were swinging Coco round in circles, which led to something else that you regret.
You know, we would sit on the porch and we smoked pot and we drank, and all of a sudden, you know, and then it was like Nanny, my big mama's house, you know, was like this big old open space on the side, and you know, them houses didn't have fences. So her house and the neighbor's house, you know, this mean old lady, but it was grassy area and it was shade, and so I did a dare. And I don't know if it was because I wanted the attention or what I did, but I would always sing Coco, swing Coco around and, you know, like just make him dizzy, then he'd get up and then he'd walk. But I decided I would do a dare, a son. So I go to the second floor, and out of the second story bedroom window, and this is the same room, it's the side bedroom, which would have been the back pretty much. And I said, watch this, I'm going to throw him out this window. And that's what happened, and luckily my best friend caught him. Oh, but then my brother Andre, he gave me like a chewing out. I mean, everybody told me I was crazy. Everybody told me I shouldn't be drinking, and I really needed to just stop and trying to tell me why I could have hurt that boy. But I saw it as fun. I don't know what was going on, and you just do foolish crap under the influence, and I did. You know, and do I regret it? Yes, I do, because my boy could have been taken away from me at that given moment.
You had a cousin named Cece who was taking care of Coco for a few hours or so. There was a terrible incident that happened during that specific time. He was in her care.
Well, the accident was, he was burnt over, what, 80% of his body, his little feet and hands, and how this occurred. I trusted CC. All I needed was a babysitter about for an hour and a half, 2 hours, long enough to walk to this housing place to give them the money order for my apartment for me and my baby. We're moving out of Ray Street, and instead of going in the house, I had to bypass my grandma's house to get to the corner liquor store, and I go down there to get a drink. So we're gonna celebrate, you know, because yes, we were getting ready to celebrate. And before I can get back to the house, Cece all hysterical. Somebody talking about something is wrong with Coco. Something is wrong with Coco. Come and see. And my baby was running around in circles. And by that time, here come the ambulance, and they rushed him to St. Joseph Hospital, where he was burned on his little feet and hands because he was in a bathtub with hot water. Both of them. But why he get burnt? So that's what happened. That's what happened to my son. Hot water. He was left in this damn, oh God, this bathtub in his little hands and feet. 2 years old. My baby was 2 years old.
Do you hold it on your heart thinking that maybe that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't stopped at the liquor store before returning home?
Well, I know it wouldn't have happened had I not stopped at the liquor store. You know, it wouldn't have happened because I would have been there. And then who knows, you know. But I was headed, like, I had to go get to the liquor store because I was already outside. And no telling when I got back in the house what would have happened, you know, having to get him dressed and bathed and everything because, again, you know, it was just a celebration. Mm-hmm. Again, I done did it. Again, we're moving, you know, me and my baby. So, yeah.
And then you do suspect that this could have been done purposefully because of the way Cece had a jealousy.
Well, yes,
of Coco.
They did, you know, because her son, like 18 months older than Coco, and Morris, you know, him and Coco, they always played together. And, you know, it's just like any family, you know, a newborn comes along, the next one could just move to the side. And that's what happened with her son, Morris. And I believe it was intentional because nothing happened to that boy. Not a scratch, not a burn, not nothing on his body. But my baby, why was my baby left in that bathtub? So, yeah, she did it on purpose. She did it because that's like saying that house. It's just, whoa. Yeah, and the people that occupied that house.
Was she under the influence when this happened?
No, she was not. She was not. She was not under the influence when this happened, because she was more of a pot smoker than she was a drinker. And then when she drank, it was just like if she was going to the bar, and then that's it. But mostly she was a pot smoker. Yes.
So then you and Coco moved from Race Street to a place you call in your book 20th Street. This was not a good environment for Coco. Tell us why it wasn't a good environment for your son.
My mother and my brother come along, and at this time it was like he was like in 82, so he was like 4 years old. And so yes, he was 4 years old. And my mother and my brother come along because this deal, they had nowhere else to go. But along with mother and Andre, Sweets and Andre just came, just what followed: the drinking, the drugging, the conniving, the manipulating, the gambling. And then Andre with his bringing tricks to the house and beating them out their money, purposely just telling these men about some women that he had waiting, and then the men get to the house and he would just rob them because he was a drug addict. So that's what happened. And my son seen all of this. He just was in the middle of all of this. And then in me, I mean, I can't be no Girl Scout because I drank, because that's saying, and you can't beat them, join them. So yes, so it was just like normal. It was normal for me. It was normal.
When Coco was 4 years old, he began attending Head Start preschool. You said he loved this school. One day, Coco was never picked up from here, and the authorities came to his rescue. The authorities uncovered many abuses that were happening to Coco, some that you weren't even aware of at the time.
Well, this is because I had a brother, the third one up under me, and I put him in a position of trust because he wasn't a drink. He was quote unquote a churchgoer. He was a religious man, and he really took a gnat to really wanting to take care of Coco. And so he took him to school one day, and and I was supposed to pick him up, and no, I took him to school. I took him to the daycare, and Ernest was supposed to pick him up, and he did not pick him up, and I was passed out on the couch, so I couldn't. Then I get a call that social services had him. But when they told me about the suspicions of like being fondled with and being touched, that there is just that it was a lot of abuses going on, and I didn't know that this old ass man, so-called Christian man, was doing this to my little boy. I didn't know that he was a pedophile.
After the authorities uncovered the many abuses that were happening to Coco, Coco went into foster care for 8 months. He was under the care of a very kind woman named Mrs. Luella Taylor. Were you happy about this situation?
Yes, I was happy about the situation because my baby, he was saved. My baby was in a safe environment. He was not where where I was. And then the goal was to get Coco back. And of course I had to do treatment, which was okay because I wanted it. I wanted help, And then of course, going to court and stuff. This is the first time that the courts was involved with me and my son because of this negligence and this abuse that was going on with my baby. I was appointed this wonderful guy, and this guy took me to a 12-step meeting, and he also, he was just telling me, again, this is like God telling me that, he put this angel in my life and this guy just to help me to just get on the right path, and it's just that, wow, I just didn't recognize it at the time because he didn't look like me, and this, and he had my best interest at heart. The courts did, and so did Miss Taylor, the foster mom, because she didn't want my son. She wanted me to have my son. So I was relieved, but I, being alcoholic addict, I didn't know.
So then you were able to get Coco back in your custody, but this only lasted for 4 months. What happened here?
Well, we moved from 20th Avenue to Lafayette Street, and down here on Lafayette Street again, like everything. It's just like it's a character on Charlie Brown, and this guy got a little old dirty blanket, and everywhere he goes, just this blanket. He has this blanket, and I'm gonna use my family as this darn blanket, and so they go with me, And I'm talking about Andre and my mother, and by this time, my mother got a boyfriend named Don, but Don, like Coco was his grandpa. But Don was another good character because when he wasn't under the influence, he would take care of Coco. So yes, it went there. And then the house just, was more space, and it was just, got really just mad because everybody was drinking and drugging, and every, Sweet was doing her thing, Andre was doing his thing, and so it was just the environment. Bodies of people, bodies of people. So yeah, so it was. It lasted 4 months because a neighbor lied and said that he was unkept. Coco was unkept, and so social services came out to the house. So yes, but people are so mean.
So after this, Coco went back into foster care with Luella. How long was it this time until you got your son back?
It took me 11 years this time.
Was it a blessing that Coco was with Luella instead of you for those 11 years?
Honestly, yes. I have to remember my goal, and regardless of how sick I think it is, it was the protection of my baby. He was not in that environment. He was not, but I was protecting him, and then he just could not be there. So yes, the best thing for him was where he was. 11 years, did it take that long? Well, no, but what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? So yes, I protected him in my own sick, alcoholic, insane way. I was protecting my son.
So at this time, you were able to provide a different life for Coco. Even though he wasn't with you, he was being cared for in a different way that you had always wanted for him.
Well, yes, because, one thing about Miss Taylor, the way the upbringing of Coco, this woman had always told me, she said, honey, I'm not trying to keep your son. I just want you to get yourself together. And she would just say that I'm just on your side because he needs to be with his mother, not with me. And those was very inspiring and encouraging words. But, as I was taking them in, I didn't know how to do that. I tried, but when you play the weight game and just want people to get the heck away from you, would it be different? So it was just a long, drawn, unexcusable process, but it was what it was.
Were you able to stay in touch with Coco during those 11 years?
Well, yeah. I had my visits and I had my court cases, my court times, going and showing up. But the honest thing, I just could not bring him home because some court days when he was supposed to come home, I'd just be too loaded to get out of bed. So I wouldn't show up for court, But yes, when Miss Taylor would bring Marcus, Coco to see me, and then of course he had a person that would pick him up and bring him to the house, and then when I'd be doing good on a good stretch, I'd have him for the weekend, and so it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
During those 11 years, without you being the primary caregiver for Coco, you went to prison. Why and for how long?
I really don't know the exact extent, but I know I was given a 2 to 4 year sentence. I went to prison because my house after didn't have Coco. So what happened? The house became a drug haven where I was selling drugs, and I allowed these drug dealers to use my house as a stake, for people to come and purchase drugs, cocaine. And so, when they came in on me, they just, when they ramshacked my house, all they got was a gun, which was not mine, and some pills, which I didn't have a prescription for, and some resin. That was, is what they convicted me of. And so, because of the criminal, my background and my record was not, I mean, it ain't that I just go and do stuff, but that's why I went to prison, because of the drug case.
For how long did you go?
A total, like 2 to 4 years. I think I was locked up for 5 months down south in the women's prison penitentiary. I wasn't in no damn halfway house. I actually was in prison. And then I went to a first halfway house, which is now a treatment center for drug people. But I was way out there on Fort Logan ground for 4 months, and then I came home.
When you got out of prison, did things change for the better?
Honestly, no. I mean, as long as I had the card, and what happened, I had, like, again, here go this angel just showing up in the form of a parole officer. And the guy just wanted, what was best for me. And so, after prison and coming home, and I believe it was the release date that I went back to my house on Lafayette Street. I had got loaded that day, because of so-called, you're home, so here you go. It was alcohol and it was drugs, cocaine. So no, so I had relapsed immediately, and my parole officer, which also years ago was my father's parole officer. So how does that work? And this guy just said that he could save me. He just wanted what was best for me.